Good morning, everyone. It's early, so I'm not gonna be super loud. I'm not gonna be that YouTube guy. You know those YouTube guys? Sick of those guys. I'm just kidding. I love everybody, dude. You're all my friends. It's brilliant. In the last video I made, I posted something about my Baratza. It's right here. Talking about burr wear and how when your burrs wear out, what you can get is a extreme spread of particulate size from really, really tiny to really, really big, and how that manifests. Now, I got a couple people that wrote in. One was, where'd he go? One was James from Instagram, thank you. And second was Joyce, who's the marketing manager at Baratza. And her email says, hey, it was fun to see your video and your conversation about burrs and what your coffee bed looked like. I'd be happy to send some new burrs, which is freaking awesome, but also wondering if maybe the issue might be with your burr holder. First culprit for this kind of symptom and grounds consistency is usually the burr holder, especially because you said it started recently, which implies an acute issue. Now, I think she might be right. I hope she's right, because after that video, it progressed insane. I keep cranking down and down and down and down on the grind, and the particulate spread is just out of control. Probably too much so for it to actually be burr wear. Another thing that can cause this inconsistent particle size distribution is if your burrs are out of alignment. I didn't talk about this in the last video. I'll link a Barista Hustle Matt Perger video below where he talks about his process for aligning an EK43. He basically shims it. So what you want in a grinder like that, which has parallel or flat burrs, you want them to be perfectly parallel with each other, and sometimes from the factory they can be a little tweaked one way or tweaked the other way. And just watch the video, it's got this whole process. Joyce sent me Baratza video that addresses this problem, so I'm watching a video to make a video to help you make coffee. So first thing you want to do is take your hopper off. So just grab your grinder, twist the hopper all the way to the left until it stops. You got to go all the way. There, you can hear that click, and then theoretically, oh boy. Oh my God. Well, I wasn't expecting that, but that's a new one. All the stuff in here too. So according to Baratza, this red tab should be at 5 o'clock, which it's not, and you should be able to install it at either 5 or 11, which is not at 11 either, so I wonder how thrashed this is. How does this work? Take this thing up. Oh boy. Whoa. Can you see that? Oh my God. Oh my God. It's cracked in half here. It's cracked in half there. Amazing. We're gonna finish fixing my Baratza Encore. I've got this replacement upper burr carrier from Baratza. Thank you so much, really appreciate it. And if you remember, this was the old one. Now there's two things wrong with it. One, it's completely snapped in half. That shouldn't happen. The other thing you'll notice is that it doesn't have any of these 3 tabs that are on this new one here. If you get a rock or an unroasted bean or something that you don't want in your hopper, goes into your grinder and jams the grinder, these tabs are designed to break to let the motor spin freely so that it doesn't keep trying to grind this thing that's not actually supposed to grind. The EK43 has a similar thing. It's got this shear plate. It's just this thin piece of, I think it's aluminum or something. And if a rock or something gets in there, that's designed to break and the whole thing can keep spinning so you don't damage your grinder. And so you don't have to replace the motor of your grinder. You just replace in the EK43 the shear plate, or in this grinder, just the upper burr carrier. So having it made out of plastic isn't really a bad design call. It's actually a really good design call, because if it was made out of metal and you got something in your grinder, you could fry the whole system. You get what I'm saying here? So it's nice. Baratza is really big on fixing things as part of their company ethos, so that's why their grinders are built the way that they are. They're meant to be fixed and not replaced, which I can really jive with. It's so enticing to buy the newest, coolest, neatest thing, but I mean, this is their base level grinder. This is the second one I've had. The first one's still running. I gave it to my mom. That's probably, geez, I don't even know how old that is. This is at least 5 years old or so, and I plan to keep it for as long as it works, which seems like it's gonna work forever. So What we need to do is get the Burr set back into this Burr carrier, throw it back in, and we should have a really easy $4 fix for your grinder if you have this Burr carrier issue. So the Burr set just slides into this upper carrier and clips down with this clip here and that clip over there. So gasket side up, it'll only really fit one way, and then, oh, there's one clip. Clip 2, it's in there. So here you can see the 3 tabs on the Burr carrier. These are the ones that are designed to snap off if something gets stuck in your grinder. There's my old Burr carrier. It's got none of the tabs. Now, if one of the tabs is missing, you'll have inconsistencies in your particle size distribution. You should replace it. I don't know how I was even grinding coffee with none of the tabs. My guess is that one of them broke, and then in rather rapid succession, the other 2 broke off. Because at first it was just like, oh, I'm getting some weird discrepancy here, and then the second or third day, it was completely unusable. So, okay, so when we put the Burr carrier in, we want this little red tab at 5 o'clock. It should line up with this little notch right over here, that little guy. Now we just got to pop the hopper back on and test its range of, oh yeah, it's going. Oh, we're dialed. I'm gonna grind a little coffee on this, not go crazy, but just get a visual reference for what's going on and see if we can tell the difference between the coffee I ground before with the Burr set literally just floating around in there and something that's proper. Okay, check it out. I didn't even notice this before. This little plastic piece is one of the old tabs is broken off and just staying in there. I put the thing back on, and even though it was adjusting, it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. It was making a weird sound, and I wonder if that's it. I'm gonna take that out. See that little booger? Is that the culprit? That pretty much worked perfectly, so I feel way better now. So let's look at the 2 grind samples I have here. This is the one that I just ground, the one with the grinders all dialed in, all super fixed, ready to go. Look at the particle size consistency. Now, you'll be able to see small differences here and there, but overall, what we have is a really uniform particle size. This is good. This is what you want. This is gonna give you really even extraction. It's gonna make the coffee behave really predictably. Each individual little particle of coffee is going to give the same amount of attention to the water. It's going to extract at an even rate. It's going to make your coffee just sing. Now let's look at the sample that I ground before I fixed the grinder. It looks a lot like what you might get from one of those little whirly blade grinders. Those whirly blade grinders, they're not really grinding coffee at all. They're just smashing it. They're pulverizing it. They're chopping it into these weird, awkward little particle sizes. None of them are the same, and it's just really hard to control, and that's why a Burr grinder will give you much better flavors than a whirly blade grinder, regardless of the cost. If you could get a really expensive whirly blade grinder from some, I don't know where fancy people shop, or a cheap-ass Burr grinder from the discount store, do the cheap-ass Burr grinder from the discount store. One note, if I'm gonna pick on myself a little bit, this experience with the grinder kind of parallels a lot of things that I see in the business world, which is the simpler the fix you can do, the better it probably is. Me being a gearhead in my brain, just like, oh, I bet my burrs are worn out. I went to this weird Coffee Geek explanation and didn't even think about checking something as simple as, oh, I wonder if one of the Burr carrier tabs is broken. And I see that happening when in the business, it's just like, you want to overcomplicate stuff so bad. It makes you feel like you're really doing extra work. It makes you feel like you know a lot. You can come up with these elaborate schemes to solve problems that are relatively simple. And one thing as we go along, year 1, year 2, year 3, I'm saying simpler the better. Keep it easy. Make it work every time. Don't make it, just don't call. Don't make it weird. Stay dialed, y'all, and I will catch you on the flip side. Peace.